Yeah, I'll tell you the first thing is it's really good to be in spring ball. It was really good to have an off season. We haven't had this since 2019. So just having a normal January, February, March, April is like unbelievable because it's been a long time, and I think this was probably the best crowd we've had at a spring game since we've been here. At least from appearance, I would say that. I don't know what the numbers are, but there was a lot of people here. I think we've had a productive spring in our 14 practices that we've had. When you're going through the spring, what you're doing is you're taking each piece and trying to fundamentally get that piece better. And in the fall, as you work towards putting the whole together, all those pieces and parts together. So I think that's ultimately what spring's about. And sometimes you don't see all that. Today, in the spring game, you saw the defense do what they did a week ago, which is when they want to, they can be very dominant at times. Offensively, there's a good group of guys that aren't practicing right now. And then there was some lack of want to early on in execution, and then they got a little bit of fire about them and actually went down and had a nice drive and scored down there on the slant. So, defensively, I'm not surprised by what happened at all in the scrimmage. That's really, I hope it should be that way a little bit. The things I talked to him about after the scrimmage was a couple things we got to work on as a team. First one is when you get up on somebody. So I went to the defense at halftime because they pretty much were doing what they wanted to, and then they relaxed a little bit. Next thing you know, the offense goes right down the field and scores. You can't do that. You got to have a killer instinct when you're up on somebody to go finish. And in the same token, when you get behind and things aren't going well offensively, you got to find a way to respond. And so those are things from a team perspective that we got to get better at that we weren't always great at last year. We weren't. I mean, and I don't dwell on last year, but I think you got to learn from it. But I told him that afterwards, and I told him I thought spring was positive. I think there were some good things that came out of it. As we finish out this semester academically, and we'll have a little break before we go, in June, July, which are those. Everything's critical in the off season, but the closer you get, the more important it is. So. I'm not surprised by exactly what happened today as far as the score. I figured it would be a little bit that way. The execution definitely could have been a lot better, especially offensively than it was. But there was definitely some areas that it wouldn't have mattered. It just is what it is. So, but I thought it was a great night. I thought it was a great crowd. I did think the guys were trying to compete. Which is really positive. That's all I want to see is go compete. And I think for the most part, there was that. There were some guys that were doing a better job than others. So that's it. I'll open the floor for questions.
I know one of the things that you hate the most is seeing the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
8 times tonight. When you go back and you talk to the guys after that, what gets stressed after a performance like tonight in that area?
Well, a little bit of everything. I mean, the ball can't be on the ground, and we haven't done as good a job, especially at quarterback, of taking care of the ball this spring as we need to. Quarterback's always going to get it because they got it in their hands every snap. But there was obviously too many balls on the ground today, and you got to take care of the ball. And when you go back and watch it, you're going to see a myriad of things that happened. When you turn somebody scot-free, it makes it a little bit challenging at times. So there was a lot of things that happened that did that. I didn't think we blocked very well on the perimeter at all today. I know we didn't block well inside, but on the perimeter, when we did get a chance to get the ball pitched, which is usually when we have a chance to hit some explosion plays, we didn't block very good on the perimeter. So there's people all up in your face. Next thing you know, the ball's on the ground. So there's a lot of moving parts of that we got to get fixed. Obviously you ain't going to win a game ever. I don't care how good the other side plays if you don't take care of the football. So that's definitely something we got to get fixed. And we're going to meet and we'll watch the tape on Monday, and then we'll have a lot of individual meetings, so forth, so on. But we got to get that fixed.
You talked earlier this spring. The the B-back and linebackers were concerned. Tonight, some good performances from some guys. Isaiah Clemens had a couple of big explosive plays. Garland Bernard just continues to grow. And then a couple of guys, Dylan Hand and William Jenkins, those four guys kind of stood out. Is there anything that you saw from them that you recall that stood out tonight?
I mean, Will Jenkins made some plays, and he did some good things. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's unblocked, on the pitch that he's been doing pretty much every day in practice. And it's just the nature of the scheme. It just is what it is. So he's done some good things. I don't want to take away from him. I saw Dylan Hand come from the backside safety and make a hit, which was positive. And then Garland's done some good things. Garland, he's in the backfield a bunch tonight, partly because we don't block who we're supposed to, and partly because Garland's, does a good job of that. But when he's scot-free, you at least like to be a little bit of a speed bump. But we several times we didn't block him when we should have. So I'm not taking away from those guys. They did some good things. They're unblocked a lot, which, is good. You got to make a play when you're unblocked. But I think those guys did some positive things.
What about Clemens?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's done that. He kinds of find a way to really not run where he's supposed to, and I can't tell that's because we're not blocking anybody, so he finds an open spot or what it might be, but he's found a way to kind of cut back and find a seam and make some plays. He's done that in practice too, so he's done a good job of that with the ball in his hands. We got to work on him without the ball, but he's made some plays with the ball in his hands, made some good runs. He's done it in practice and scrimmages leading up to this as well.
Like you said, you guys haven't really had a regular offseason in the spring, kind of since 2019 due to COVID. So can you just tell me a little about how it felt to kind of get back to just like a regular routine this spring?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I know every time I talk about spring, that's the first thing I talk about. Just the ability for our kids to go train for a couple months. We do some morning runs, and then they got a break for a week. And then we came back, regrouped, man, we had spring ball. And we went every other day practice-wise, which gave them a little time to recoup, each day. And then finished with a spring game in April for the first time ever here. So we've never had a spring game in April. Every one of our spring games has been mid-March, maybe late March at best, because of our calendar. And I think that had a lot to do with more recruits being at the game. And that's a positive for us. So it was just, there's so many things that, we went through last year. You go back and reflect on the things you could do better. I think you do that every year. And the things we didn't do well, you can attribute to not having an off season. And I'm not saying that would be the end-all, be-all for whatever happened. I'm just saying you can go back and look. We didn't have one. And so for our program, they're critical. And so it's been really good just to be back in that mode of workouts, morning runs, had a little break, spring ball. Now they got a few weeks to regroup. They got exams. And then they get a few more weeks before we come back and really, really go at it this summer to get ready for fall camp. So I can't say it's one of those things like the whole pandemic stuff, like you don't realize what you have till you lose it. You don't realize how important something is till you don't have it. And you look back and go, we can't do without this. Like we can't function without it. And that's all of it together, so no question.
Yeah, and in this one, the pass rush really was getting through and in the backfield. What did you see from them in this game and then also just through this spring?
Yeah. How can I say this nicely? We just don't get in the way very good. It makes them look a little better, and we do have some guys up front. When our guys up front, and I'm talking about a two deep, when they decide they want to play, they should be as good as anybody anywhere on the defensive line. When they want to go do it, they can be as good as anybody anywhere. I'm talking about two deep. Now, I think there was times a day we were barely a speed bump, right? At least get in the way and make them run over you. They'll give you a little more time to try to get the ball off. So I saw some guys do some good things on the pass rush, and that's not anything new to spring ball, if that makes sense. There's really nothing happened that I hadn't seen or in some areas didn't expect in some ways. I was disappointed we didn't block better on the perimeter. We've really been working on that. They changed the rules, so we're trying to teach our kids how to do it, and I didn't think we did a very good job of that today, and that's something we got to get better at.
line play, a couple of guys out up front?
Yeah. Yes. The second line were basically a walk-on tackle playing guard, a kid that just came out 4 weeks ago playing right guard. Like that was the second group. We got guys hurt, so the guys in the second group who are left went to the first group. But they need it. They need to go play and get better. But we do have some guys up there that played. They're gonna have to play for us in the fall, and they got to play better. They got to. And I went and got after them a little bit after the first couple drives, and actually they had a better drive, but it's got to be more consistent. And that's something we got to develop and work on. It's not a news flash. We've been working on it this spring, and we're not there yet. And then we got to get everybody back out there healthy, so you get your best five, whoever that is. We got to get the best five, and then we got to have a couple backups, and we got to get them ready to go play.
Final thing for me, did I hear correct? The menu, we've got steak and ribs and then hot dogs with no condiments.
I've kind of thrown in the no ketchup mustard just based on the way things were going. I feel like you just ought to eat the dry dog and call it a day. You earn the hot dog. I don't think you earn the ketchup mustard, but it is what it is. Yeah, so the defense Monday will eat steak and ribs, offense will eat hot dogs. It is what it is. We try to create a little competition. It didn't last very long. It was over pretty quick. So, but I think it was good. So we'll do that on Monday. Gives them something to jaw about.
All right.
What kind of steak is it?
I think it's a ribeye.
See?
Why, you on the defense now?
No. I was trying to get
Huh? Yeah. Our next question is, what time are y'all meeting and what time are y'all eating?
Yeah.
And can I be on the defense for Monday? Right, John? Hot dogs? But you need some condiments, though, don't you? You good? Anything else? Hey, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank y'all.
Last year at this time, you guys were finishing up your spring season, didn't really have regular spring practice. So this year, kind of getting back into the normal routine, how good did that feel to kind of actually have an off season?
It felt great because it gave us our ability to bond as a team, and you could tell tonight that the defense bonded together, and we played well.
And how nice was it to not have to jump from like season to season and actually, because like last year you guys went straight from fall right into the spring season. So how nice was it to kind of spring into fall. Sorry. How nice was it to kind of have that off season?
It felt great because it gave us a chance to get our bodies back together, get our legs up under us, prepare for the upcoming season. So now we have a chance to take this little time off to get our minds right, get our bodies back right, and then take the summer, then get ready for the fall camp, prepare for the preseason.
Pretty dominating performance on your side of the ball tonight. Obviously, there's a little something at the end. You guys get the better dinner this coming week.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to let the offense kind of hear about this over the next couple of weeks?
Yes, sir. We already been talking about it in the locker room. I just left them out of there, and they're getting at it right now.
So are you at least going to bring them some ketchup and mustard, or are you going to make them?
I'm going to look out for the guys. I'm going to give them a rib or two. Not many.
Yeah, and I know obviously spring game, but what was the physicality like out there? Did you feel like, how did you feel the defense's intensity was throughout?
We brought the energy from the get-go, and I loved our energy from the jump. We kind of slacked towards halftime, and then after Coach Bo came over to talk to us, and we picked it right back up, and we just had to finish on a strong note.
And I think one of the cool things about the scoring is giving the point for the third down stops and the fourth down stops. What has that kind of been a focus throughout the spring of those situational type?
Yes, sir, because, you got to get off the field third to fourth down, so that was a big emphasis this whole spring. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Des, I don't know if you can tell us this, but after one of the plays, I think it was a fourth down stop by the defense, Coach brought you over and talked to you. What was that about?
Nothing much. I can't talk about it.
One thing I think you can talk about is I think we saw a new celebration from you after a TFL. Mm-hmm. What was that?
I had, thought about the celebration. I said, man, I got to get one in. This is my last spring game, so at least let me try to get one. So I just tried something new. I liked it. The guys loved it. They came over and said, man, that was pretty tight. I was like, yeah, thanks. So, yeah, I loved it.
Desmond, Coach made the remarks that when the two deep up front, when they were at their best, they can be the best of anyone in the nation. Your returner, Travis Bell, Joel, Carrick, a lot of older guys there, but there's some younger guys. What have you seen specifically out of some of the younger guys in the defensive line position? Maybe not tonight, but over the course of the spring, how have they grown? They've
grown a lot. They're young. They don't know the ropes. So with the older guys, we have to show them. We have to show them to run to the ball. The expectations of being a D lineman here. So that was our big thing. And I shout out to Mike Hines and Big Finn, Big Adam, Cam, Tyler. Man, they grown a lot over this spring. And man, the future's bright for them guys. And I can't wait to see them. Come back and see them play.
Thank you, Desmond.
Yes, sir.
Last question. I think we saw your acting debut tonight on the Jumbotron in the KSU commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Any plans to move to Hollywood after football?
Hey, hit my line.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, thank y'all. Have a good night.